shows up over there, and a red thing shows up at the top of my computer, and that means right there that we are on. Hi.
Hello.
So you told me a little bit already before I started the video what's going on, but why don't you just go ahead and recap that?
Okay, so it didn't shut off. The screen stayed on after we made those changes. So it was not going to be a problem. So I tried the Hibernate mode, which is when you touch the power button momentarily, and it goes into what they call hibernate. And then I left it while I was walking the dog. That was about 45 minutes, and it came back up just fine when I touched the power button briefly again.
Okay. So that tells us that it seems likely that it had to do with either the screensaver or the standby. And let's see. Yeah, it was turning the, not screensaver, but it was blanking the screen, turning the screen off. And the other step was it was going into sleep mode. So one of those two is probably the source of the trouble. So let's get the remote connection back. Can you go to the website logmein123.com?
Okay. And I need a code.
Yep, the code is 159327. Okay, I see it's the connection's starting over here. I'm waiting to hear a ding. There it is. And then I right click on you and choose start. You probably have less clicks to do this time. There we go. Do you see the mouse moving? Harold?
Yes, I do.
You see? Yeah, okay. Oh, maybe you nodded your head yes. I don't have you on screen right now.
Thought I said yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear. All right. So at this point, the screen blank or the standby mode is the most likely culprit. So the things we want to check for is device drivers. So I'm going to gather a little information about your computer. Actually, I wanted to do this different. Windows key and the letter R brings up the run command line. And then MS info 32 is going to give me a little information about your computer. And it's got another screen over here. Okay, so this shows us HP laptop. That Q4P is just the system name, and it's a model 15-CC1XX. And those X's are actually some other number that they're not showing to us here, and then that system SKU number. So that's all I care about right there. And then I'm going to click on the Windows button and type CMD for command prompt. Right click on the command prompt, choose Run as Administrator. Answer yes to the user account control, and that gets me a DOS window. And then the command is WMIC space get space BIOS space serial number is one word. And that said not found. Did I say that wrong? WMIC BIOS get. Yep, there it is. So serial is 5 CD 747. Go figure that.
Yeah.
0 WHB. 0 WHB. Some people watching this video may not know that you fly airplanes. That was the reference to 747. Oops. The right computer here. Too many keyboards in front of me. Okay, and so this is, I'll also make a note that it is Pavilion. Okay, so I've got that information put on my other computer screen over here. And then go into a browser. I'll take Microsoft Edge since that's open. Go to a new tab and hp.com. So what we're going to do is run a utility from HP's website that's going to examine your computer to see if there's device drivers. And also we want to see if HP declares this computer as compatible with Windows 10. So we go into software and drivers, and let's hide this guy. Let's see, exit minimize video. That's going to go maximized, isn't it? Hide video. Let's do that. Move that out of the way. And then we scroll down a little bit and click on laptop. And right here, it's wanting that serial number. So 5CD 7470 WHB. And click submit. Okay, so now this gives me the rest of that model number. The computer told us it was 15-CC1, and then it didn't give us the rest of those numbers, so I'm going to make note of that. That could become useful later. And that looks like CL on the end of that. So that's a 15-inch laptop, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then over here, choose a different operating system. It's got Windows 10 by default here, which tells us this computer is declared by HP as compatible with Windows 10. That's great news. And then we'll come down here to, it's one of these two, software solutions or utility tools. There it is, HP Support Assistant. We'll come over here to download. It's downloading here in the bottom left corner.
I did go to Google and put in that problem, and it did said it's a known problem, and that's why it suggested doing the hibernation thing.
Oh, okay. Good move. Now, we can also use the option, if we don't find anything we like better, of putting the timer on the hibernation mode, meaning after a certain amount of time, instead of going to standby, it goes straight to hibernation. And that might be a compromise that you would find acceptable if we don't come up with something better. The standby mode actually keeps the computer turned on. So when you wake it up from standby mode, it would come on sooner, quicker than hibernation mode. Do you have thoughts on that, preferences?
No, I mean, I can deal with the hibernation. That's
okay.
If there's no solution to the issue we're having, then I can deal with the hibernation.
Okay.
At least I know what's causing it now, so that helps.
Right. A newer version of HP Support Assistant is installed. Setup will now close. Okay, so HP Support Assistant is already present, so it did not install that one. And here's that question mark. I didn't notice if that question mark was already down here.
Oh.
Did you?
I click on it every once in a while, and it updates the BIOS.
Okay.
I don't know if I've done it recently.
Now, updating the BIOS should not be a repeating thing unless it's failing to update. Here it shows us 2 updates. Are you saying that you've had repeated prompts for updating BIOS?
Well, now that you mention that, I'm not sure, but I know I've done it at least once.
Okay. So here I'm clicking on updates where it's implying that there's 2: downloading messages and updates definition, analyzing your system, preparing the action list. So this is the automated process that is checking to see if you need any drivers. Now, just because HP says this computer is compatible with Windows 10, that doesn't mean it's fully functional. So it could be that this is just something that doesn't work at all. But here we have HP PC hardware diagnostics and system event utility. It's wanting us to download those. Those are not actually drivers, but it does run diagnostics and monitor system events. That doesn't sound terribly promising to me.
Yeah.
Messages, warranties, accessories, my services support profile. Next scheduled check, action log. I'd like to see something more specific to the drivers. Now download messages, update definition, gathering configuration, analyzing your system. The only thing that it's telling us here that's remotely comforting is analyzing the system. We already ran this, but I'm running it again because I'm paying closer attention to see if I actually see the word drivers or device drivers.
Okay.
So I don't expect this is going to give us anything different unless there is some specific message that I didn't notice. Did you see that message about low system resources affecting audio quality?
No, I didn't.
I'm not certain whether that message was showing on your computer or my computer. I'm thinking it was probably your computer because of Zoom while HP was trying to diagnose the system. Okay, so my notebook computer has the updates there, 14 messages, printer, troubleshooting and fixes. Okay, troubleshooting and fixes is another place for us to go into. Take a look first at messages, selecting accessories, operating system issues, PC performance, protect. Well, there's some potential directions to go in there. And diagnostics maybe. Okay, so we might be coming to that back to that messages. And then here's that troubleshooting and fixes. Network check, performance, operating system, audio check. No. Slow guided. Display touchscreen, software apps, power boot, can't sign Windows. Computer locks up or freezes, guided troubleshooter. Does that sound interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Troubleshooting no sound, keyboard and mouse, storage issue, recovery, hardware diagnostics. Yeah, this one seems pretty interesting. Still didn't specifically see a scan for drivers. Forbidden access is denied. You do not have permission to view this directory or page using the credentials that you supplied. Typically what that means is the website has changed things and we've come across what amounts to a broken link. Thank you very much. Computer diagnostic tools. Try that way. All these screens we're in right now are screens that were specific to your computer model. So it's quite possible that it's likely that it has reached the end of its support period from HP, and
That could be.
They don't keep their website as up to date for things you might need. There's computer locks up or freezes. What do you want to believe we're going to get the same message? Well, we didn't. Analyzes, optimize your PC to resolve freeze issues and improve performance. Oh, that sounds interesting. Computer stops responding, hang, freeze, or locks up. If Windows stops responding to mouse keyboard input, nothing moves on the computer display or mouse cursor constantly busy. Use our easy automated solutions to boost performance, manage startup items, improve your computer or laptop performance, or avoid freeze and lockup issues. There's a whole lot of things that fit into the category of hang, freeze, and lockup that are completely separate from the symptom you're having. You got a very specific symptom, and none of that actually mentioned recovering from standby. But that actually gets me, I'm going to launch this and then describe something else that gives me the idea of doing. Trying to open HP Performance. Yeah, open that. Is that we could manually initiate standby mode and see if you can wake up the computer from that. That'll tell us very specifically that it's standby mode as opposed to turning the screen off. Okay, so here, performance tune-up check, delete temporary files, prefetch, execute system file, empty recycle bin. Yeah, all of that's not very promising for your symptom. Okay, so while that's running, let's take a look at what options are on your power button. And there's a sleep right there. So that is what I have in mind doing.
I use that quite frequently, that sleep.
Yeah? And are you able to wake up from it?
Most of the time, but I don't know if I've waited, if I've waited long enough, the 10 minutes or whatever it was set for.
All right. Oh, another thing that we can do is we could set up a unattended connection capability for me, which means I can connect to your computer without you clicking on anything. So once the computer gets to that unresponsive state and the screen is black, if it's possible that I can still connect remotely to it, and it's completely functional. It's just that you can't see anything on the screen. Follow that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a piece that we can do. Then another closely related piece I was thinking is there's a couple buttons I can click on here that puts an icon on your desktop to reestablish the remote connection without actually having to go to that website. So we may wind up doing that one too. Let's see, not seeing HP performance tuna check window. So did this, maybe this is it. Yeah, that's it. Tune-up check, optimize system file checkers. So it hasn't even done that yet all that time I was talking away. Well, that was pretty quick and not painful. Then so that really hasn't been very helpful. Now let's get back to the top level of this website. Let's go back. Let's try the back button a few times. Yeah, here are these drivers. Let's take a look at drivers for the graphics. Yeah, here's one of the difficulties about manually downloading drivers is there's all these possible drivers for your computer. At the moment, we don't know which one of these is correct for your computer. Let's take a look and see if we can get a clue. I'm going to go back into Device Manager by right-clicking on this PC and then Properties and Device Manager. Drag this over to the side, minimize this window, and see if we can match anything up. Intel UHD graphics. I'm going to guess UHD is ultra high density. I don't even see any of these saying UHD. Can I make that column wider? No, that's Windows 10. So no, it's not that that column is too narrow. And NVIDIA is certainly not what we need. And so here we've got these three. Let's have a look at Windows key R and go back into MS Info 32, see if we can get something more specific about the display driver. So I'm going to expand this components section and display right there. Intel UHD. A couple of those have KB Lake. I'm betting that's a really high-end graphics.
Or more like for gamers.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Oh, now here's we got something matching. These version numbers, 23.20. Here we have a 23.20, 0.16, 0.4973. And so that clearly identifies that we are on this driver, and that is the highest revision number of any of those. Now, I have seen occasion where using an older, less advanced driver might work better. I do see that the dates on each of these drivers are well beyond the Windows 10 um, occurrence, and all of these drivers were selected for Windows 10 for your computer. So the one we have is the most recent of these. So we're not going to be interested in installing a more recent driver. Another option or approach to take is to actually uninstall this device driver and let Windows 10 reinstall a device driver of its choosing. It may or may not come up with this one. Now that UHD Graphics 620, did we see the 620 designation on that? I don't think so. Okay, I'm going to click on that and expand it again. This package provides the drivers that enables high definition graphics supported notebook models running supported operating system. All right. Well, that only gave us an idea that that you have the most recent. It looks like you have the most recent video driver, which actually could be a source of trouble, but it's less likely. Now let's go pursue one of our other ideas then. We also did get an indication at one point of a hard drive file problem. I think before going to that, I'm going to go another direction though. Windows key R perfmon space / report. And this will indicate that it's going to be gathering a report for 60 seconds. It's probably going to fail to stop after 60 seconds. That's what I found in the last half dozen times I've tried it. It seems that somehow Windows 10 or an update has broken this, but it still creates the report and we can still go look at it. What I need to remember to do is check the time. So I'm going to figure we probably started that about 14:10. And so when it gets to 15:10, then we'll stop this data collection and then go in and look at the report. The report for this gives us a summary of the operating system and hardware, and it can bring attention to anything that it finds is not operating properly. Let's see, you have a standard Windows wallpaper. That's another issue that I consider when there's a wake-up problem, because sometimes people have other images. Nothing unusual about the way your display is set up. You don't have an external monitor connected to the computer, correct?
No.
Okay. Oh, it's past time, isn't it? Okay, so then I'll just click the X to close that. Then Windows key R and do perfmon without the / report. So I'm just deleting that part. And that gets us into perfmon. Performance monitor is what that stands for. And then go into reports, expand the system section, and expand the system diagnostics. And here that today's date and the current time, it's a few minutes ago. So then we're looking here to see if it's got any complaints. This missing events in event log is a very normal, common thing. It's always there. All of these say passed, so that's good. If there are any problems, it shows up at the top in the summary section. If we wanted to, we could go drilling down through each of these areas, but I don't see any need to do that because the report hasn't spotted anything that's a problem. Just looking at this a little closer. Yeah, nothing there. Let's consider, let's see, Windows key, power, space, ampersand gets me to power and sleep settings. And this is the changes that we made earlier to turn off the screen turning off, and the computer going to sleep. Okay, so before we try that, let me get that icon on your desktop and get the unattended access set up. So this approach is going to be pretty quick to try. So on my side, I'm selecting calling card and install calling card. And then I'll Alt-Tab to get back to your screen, and your screen is offering to click OK on that. And then I'm going to minimize, well, let's see, it's downloading that file from my computer to yours. Installing the calling card, installation successful. So I'll minimize this chat window, and here's that calling card. So that means next time you want to initiate a remote session with me, you can double click on that instead of going to logmein123.com. Now I'll go do another option on unattended access. I'm going to choose the option of indefinitely and request unattended access. So this puts a prompt on your screen saying unattended access is requested. And we'll click OK on that. So that gives me the ability to connect to your computer without you clicking on anything. Now that puts, it's giving you a message down here telling you that. I'm going to close that message. That puts this icon on your taskbar. And at any time that you choose, you can right click on that and revoke unattended access, which means it just prevents me from ever doing that. So that's a protection side for protection for the person on your side if you don't want to allow that. Now I wanted to get to, we could try the sleep mode here, but I'm more attracted to letting it do that from the timer. So Windows key, power, space, ampersand to get back into the power and sleep settings, and go to sleep when plugged in, and the shortest we can do is 1 minute. So I've selected 1 minute there, and then I'm going to watch the clock, and you're not going to touch keyboard or mouse on your side. So we've got 3:20 and 22nd p.m. So when it gets to 3:21 and 20 seconds, we expect the screen to go blank. And that was for actually sleep mode, not just turning the screen off.
Yeah, as far as, me selecting the sleep mode, I think I've always been able to get it to come back up when I put it in sleep. It's just when it goes into sleep on its own.
Yeah, that could be the difference. And because I'm connected remotely, that might prevent it from going to sleep after the minute anyway. In which case I'll disconnect and then we'll watch for a minute and see if I can reconnect. I still have image on my side. Do you?
Yes. And I can hear the hard drive running.
Oh, all right. Oh, you know what? And also, do you normally have programs open when this happens, or do you habitually close your open programs?
Both ways.
Both ways. Okay. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and disconnect, and then we'll watch for another minute.
Maybe we should try opening a program just so we cover it both ways.
Well, I think we have a browser open, I think.
Oh yeah, I guess we do.
Funny how the clock slows down when you're waiting for a minute to go by.
Always.
So when you're up flying around, are you able to keep 6 feet distance between other planes?
I don't worry about it anymore because I had the COVID. I got it from a student.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you actually know that you got it from a particular student?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I get,
went to Texas with him to pick up an airplane
yeah.
that he had purchased. And he kind of, I think he slipped and admitted that he was at a party where somebody tested positive.
Oh, did he subsequently test positive?
Yeah.
Ah,
But he didn't have any more symptoms than I did.
all right.
We both got through it pretty mildly. My wife had it a little worse than I did. She had some more stomach issues than I did. But neither one of us sat it below 97.
Neither one of you what?
Our SpO2 never went below 97%.
Oh, I guess I'm not aware of that.
Well, that's one thing COVID seems to attack is your lungs.
Okay.
So, we were pretty careful watching our blood saturation levels.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try to reconnect, and it didn't dawn on me to ask you if you have a check on your username and password. So yeah, there's something there. Why don't you go ahead and double click on that DougBetts remote icon that's on your desktop to reestablish the connection.
It's Meet now.
Yeah, that's one of the names for that.
You want me to click on Meet now?
Yeah. Did that happen after you double clicked on the icon that says DougBetts remote?
I didn't see an icon that said DougBetts remote.
Oh no, Meet Now's not the right one then.
Because I just
Yeah.
went to the bottom.
No. This would be up on your desktop.
Oh,
This is an
okay.
icon on your desktop, DougBetts remote. Yeah,
So I can X that one out.
Yeah.
I was looking at the bottom bar.
No, Meet Now, I believe, is a new thing that Microsoft has put out. It came to your computer from a Windows update. Microsoft is trying to get us interested in using that instead of Zoom.
Oh.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to click another button here. This probably will prompt you for a...
We've got a prompt saying allow access.
Yeah, do that. remote connection crashed on me, and then I'm launching it again. Do you have a prompt on your screen? Oh, there we go. Okay, so that did not lock up, and you said you've had this lockup occur both with having programs open and not having programs open. I'm thinking that the most likely interference to that going to sleep is the programs that were open, that something that we have open was keeping activity going. So when you report that some programs or some occasions you've been able to have programs open and the symptom occurs, the difference is you didn't have the same programs open as we have now, which we have Zoom open. So that's a constant activity.
Oh, yeah.
Sending and receiving images. So that has probably prevented that sleep from activating. So to test that better, what I'm going to do here is go into your file system, into users, to find out what your profile name is. So your profile name there is fly CF, just CF, okay?
CFII.
I don't see the II there.
I don't either.
I just say see fly CF.
I'll be darned.
It could be that it got created as fly CF and then the screen name has been changed to CFII. That one has your name. So when you start the computer up and you type in your password, you probably see a user, your first and last name as the username.
Yeah, I changed it to where I just use a 4-digit PIN.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to use the PIN to connect remotely. Now, don't tell me your password, just yes or no. Do you know what the actual password is?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to check sign-in options to see if you indeed are logging in with a local user account as opposed to a Microsoft account. And let's see, well, that is probably, oh, here. No, you're actually signing in with a Microsoft account. And that's probably what got you prompted to do a PIN.
Yeah. I know it's a lot easier than putting in my password every time.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm going to take the opportunity to test something here. I could connect remotely to your computer by putting in your email address as a username and putting your Microsoft password, which may not be the same as the password that you used to use on the computer to log in. But that's kind of not a very good thing for me to do with general public, to actually have them tell me their email password. So let's do this way, because I'm sure this method works. We're going to create a new user account without a Microsoft connection, and we're going to add a user without a Microsoft account, and the username is going to be Doug. That's why you never forget who this account is for. And let's see. Okay. You know what? Security questions for my account on your computer. I'm going to take your computer off screen for that. I'm not going to advertise that on YouTube. Of course, you're seeing my super secret answers.
I won't spill the beans.
Yeah, okay. And then I'm going to change the type of that account to admin so that I can see the screens that I need to be able to see. And so at any time in the future, if you were to choose to remove that account, you come here to Family and Other Users and click on that and then click Remove. Okay, so we've got that. And then power space ampersand to go review how we have this set up. So we have it set up to go to sleep after 1 minute. But the sequence of events that you were actually having was where it would turn off the screen first and then go to sleep. It's entirely possible that those two events trigger the failure. But really what you care about is the sleep mode. That's what you'd like to have happen. When you go away from the computer, you'd like it for it to go into sleep mode automatically. I doubt that you really care about the screen going blank first.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what.
That doesn't matter. Okay. So if we leave this on 1 minute and then we disconnect the remote connection and we wait for, say, 2 minutes, we're expecting to see it go to sleep by then, as long as we have everything, all the activity on your computer stopped. Follow me on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So then this one down here was from our prior session. This says that I stopped that connection, so we can close that one. And after I disconnect, you can close this one, and then we'll start the 1 minute timer. So where is this coming back? Oh, I've got that dragged off here to the side. Okay, there's your screen. And so we're gonna leave the session, and then I'm gonna disconnect. And when I disconnect, you'll see that message on this screen here saying that I stopped the session. At that point, we won't be able to hear each other. Actually, we won't be able to hear each other once we stop the Zoom session. Then you will wait at least 2 minutes after you've stopped all activity, and then do whatever you have to do to get back into the Zoom session, and then you'll be able to tell me what happened.
Okay.
Okay. So here I'm clicking on your Leave Meeting button. Okay, so I have ended the meeting and disconnected the session. So now we're waiting for Harold to come back into the Zoom session. And when that happens, I'll hear a doorbell on my computer, and I should bring up a clock. There's a clock, but I can't really show that on screen, can I? 3:36:45, I'm going to say, because I need to estimate how long it took him to close everything. All right, got that down. Now I'm going to mute my microphone for a moment because Alexa is nagging me in the background. I need to tell her to shut up. Okay, that worked. For those of you who have Alexa, might be interested to know. You see out there that wall, and then she's on the other side of the house against the outer wall. And I could just yell at her from here. So let's see. I was turning another direction to do something else. What is it? This, I guess. Finishing up my notes about the password that I'm using on his computer, and then disguising it so it's not just out there as plain text. Okay, so 336:45. By the way, for those of you watching the video, if you haven't realized yet, there may come time in my videos where you want to scrub forward through a time period that looks like it's going to be just waiting. So it's been 2 minutes since I wrote down the time. So if it went to sleep on him, there is a doorbell. He's coming back in. Let's punch back over to the Zoom meeting panel and see if Harold's there, and he is there.
The screen never went blank.
Never went blank, so it never went to sleep.
Correct.
Right? Okay, so go ahead and put it manually into sleep. Let's see. Well, that's going to cut off the Zoom session again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so just go ahead and cut off the Zoom, exit the Zoom session, and then manually put it to sleep and wait a couple minutes and see if you can wake it up. And then I have next steps in mind for us.
Okay.
Okay, there he's gone again. And 340.02. So I was starting to say that there may be times in my videos when you can see that there's going to be some waiting time. You can just scrub the slider forward, or you can click on the gear icon if you're on a computer. If you're on a mobile device, it's probably the 3-dot kebab menu. That's 3 dots vertical. It's called a kebab menu. And change the speed of the video. So you can choose a faster speed until you get to a point where you want to return to a normal speed. You can also, on a computer, you can move your mouse a little bit on the screen. You should see the fast forward icon down in the, I think it's on the bottom left side of the video, or on a mobile device, you can double tap the right-hand side of the video image and it should advance forward about 10 seconds or so, whatever the amount is, I'm not sure. But that's a way for you to maneuver around and not have to wait through the waiting time the way I do. 340, so we're about approaching a minute and a half. So he would have manually put it into sleep, then wait a couple of minutes. So that's going to make at least 342 before he even tries to wake it up again. So we're coming up on that. So was there anything that we've done so far that might have actually fixed the problem? I'm guessing that 2 minutes is not a very precise time, or we actually had it set for 1 minute. So we might have to go for a longer time period. Let's see. I can show Harold where we can select hibernate rather than sleep. That could be useful. And we're not totally certain if this is a 100% consistent symptom. Harold sounds like it is, but I don't know if he's really watched it that closely to know that there's never been a time that he comes back to the computer and it's okay. Well, of course, if it's gone dark and he comes back to the computer, that would be very noticeable. And he's saying that it never comes back to life. And I suspect that he's gotten into the habit of shutting it down, because when we looked in the event viewer, we found that it wasn't really happening very frequently recently. It appears that somewhere along the line he learned that just wasn't going to work, and so he resorted to shutting the computer down. The hibernate mode is probably more tolerable than shutting the computer down, because when you shut the computer down, you got to exit from all your programs. Hibernate mode will store the running image of the computer to the hard drive. Then when you turn it back on, it just loads that from the hard drive into memory with whatever programs that were open. But that takes longer than going to sleep and waking up from sleep. And here we're coming back on with Harold. Let's find out what happened.
Okay, I waited almost 2 full minutes with everything closed, and it didn't blank out.
Okay.
And so then I put it manually into sleep and waited about 1.5 minutes, and I could see the power button was blinking, and the screen did go dark. But as soon as I touched the mouse, about 1 minute later, it came right back on.
Okay. Then let's do this. I'm going to go connect to your computer, and this will be our first test to see if I indeed can connect without you clicking on anything. And that's important for us to know for the next test. Looks like it's trying to connect. So what I have in mind is to return the settings to what they were previously, and then we end our session. And at some point, when you discover that it will not wake up, you give me a call and I try to connect to it while the screen is still inaccessible to you.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because that's going to tell us if it's actually just a screen issue. And that would take me different directions. So let me pop back over to your screen, and let's see, I'm going to minimize your Zoom window and hide this guy, and then minimize that. And that was your email. Close that. So let's go Windows key, power space, ampersand, power and sleep settings. Actually, as soon as I type, I think the letter P or PO, it remembers the last thing I went into. So what it originally was set for was turning off the screen. My recollection was it was about 20 minutes or 10 minutes. Do you have a recollection?
I think it was 10.
Yeah, I'm thinking 10 for turning off the screen and 20 for going to sleep. The battery power settings we really don't care about. Now let's explore other options that we have. Now this is showing the changes that we just made. Here's the sleep settings. So currently we have sleep after 20 minutes when it's plugged in. And we could, as an alternative, change it to hibernate after 20 minutes when plugged in. I don't want to jump too soon to that because that's less convenient for you, I think. What Hibernate does is it stores your current Windows session, including whatever programs are open. It stores it onto the hard drive and shuts the power off. So the computer's completely turned off. And when you press the power button to start the computer up, it just reads the Windows state from memory, including any programs that are open, and opens back up to that. But that takes longer than recovering from sleep. Okay?
Okay.
But it is more convenient than actually having to exit all your programs and shut the computer down.
Right.
So it still could be attractive. Now, I'm suspecting that that's actually what you've been doing since the sleep has been consistently failing to wake up for you. Is that right?
Right.
Yes? Okay.
Correct.
All right. Then I'm going to, let's see. So we just came in here to see what our options are for that. And I don't think any of the other options in here I'm interested in. There's nothing else here about the monitor. Well, here's display. What do we get there? Oh, that's right. Turn off display after 10 minutes. So one variation could be to change this piece to never and leave the sleep after 20 minutes active. If your computer wakes up from sleep under that condition, then that might be quite fine. And particularly if we find that I can connect remotely when on your side the computer is completely unresponsive, that does indicate it could be a display problem. So maybe the display is failing to wake up even though the computer does successfully come out of sleep mode. Do you follow that reasoning? I felt like I was kind of...
I do. No, I follow.
Okay. Okay. Did you have a gut reaction or opinion as to the likelihood of that?
Well,
I'm going to say that means you're not sure.
As long as it recovers, that's all I really care about.
That's all you care about. But
if it takes a little longer, even I'm not that upset about. But it'd be nice if it worked normally.
So
it's supposed to.
What we've done here is we've completely reversed all the settings back to the way that it was originally. Now, there was one other setting change that we were contemplating, and I don't think we actually did. Trying to remember what that was. I think we might be able to see it if we come back into it. When I first took you into this area, we went through personalize, and then over here to lock screen, and then screen timeout took us there, and doesn't really, I don't think there's a way for me to click here and get back to this prior screen. No, so I'll go back in this way. Right click on the desktop, personalized, lock screen, and then screensaver. We went into power settings. I remember going that through there.
No, we didn't have a screensaver activated.
True, and you did not have a screensaver activated to begin with.
Right. Because I figured it's just going into sleep when I'm not using it, so that was good enough.
Yeah, it was this one. Turn off hard disk. We
Oh,
contemplated
yeah.
doing that one, and we never did do that
We
one.
didn't
And
change anything there.
that doesn't really feel very attractive. As a matter of fact, when you mentioned that you saw some activity or heard the computer or something like that uh, while we were disconnected when you were
Just,
running those tests.
yeah, just I could hear the hard drive and fan running.
Okay, so in the instances when you try to wake the computer up, do you hear the hard drive or the fan?
No,
You do not. Okay.
it's silent.
Okay. So there's a possibility that it could be the hard drive failing to wake up, and we have not waited 15 minutes during our test during this session, but you did try that while you were out walking the dog. It was more than 15 minutes. Um,
Would the hard drive shutting down make the screen blank?
well, I think it's more not make the screen blank, but your screen was going blank after 10 minutes. And
Right.
then the hard drive was shutting down after 15 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, this setting was trying to put the computer to sleep. But if the hard drive, well, at that point, when it tries to put the computer to sleep, that would wake up the hard drive because that would be a command that's going to involve the hard drive. So the hard drive's only going to turn off after 15 minutes of inactivity.
Maybe we should set that to 30.
On this hard drive, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with that because that gets it out of the picture.
that way it shuts down after the computer goes to sleep,
Right,
which
right,
makes more sense.
right. Well, that could be. There's instances where you may want the screen to stay awake and alive, but the hard drive to go to sleep because the hard drive isn't always needed to be operational.
Right.
Um, so I'm fine with us making that change. I'm not quite sure what conclusions I'll make of that, if it makes any difference for us at all. But I'm feeling attracted to this test, which is we end this video in the session, and then the next time you get an occurrence of the computer not waking up, I'd like for you to pay particular attention to hard drive noise. And you probably also have a light that flickers in response to the hard drive activity. Can you see that light
I don't
anywhere?
I don't see that anywhere.
Could be on the side. Not all laptops have a light, so it may not be there at all.
I don't see one.
But as long as you can hear hard drive activity, then that tells us the hard drive is active. So
Because I think I can tell the difference between the hard drive and the fan. Because when the fan is on, then it kind of covers up the sound of the hard drive.
okay, and the hard drive is more of an erratic um, knocking, ticking, clacking.
No, I
None of
never hear that.
none of those words are really a very good description. But
I know what you mean.
the hard drive noise is not a stable, consistent noise.
Yeah, I know what a hard drive sounds like,
Okay.
and I haven't ever heard that out of this laptop.
Oh, okay. Um, so you've looked all around the sides of the laptop and the front of the laptop, and I need to trigger some hard drive activity so that the light will flicker because it may not have been doing any activity. So you should be looking around the perimeter of the laptop to see if you see any activity now on the light.
No. No.
Yes, no?
And no hard drive noises either.
Okay. Well, if you have an SSD hard drive, there wouldn't be any noises. It's only a mechanical hard drive that you're going to hear noises.
No.
I think I hear you talking, but I can't hear your voice.
And the hard drive is blinking now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So you did find a light?
I did find a light, yes.
Okay. Then let's see, down here on components, and then it's listed as storage and disks. This is a standard disk drive, so it is a physical hard drive. So it could make noises, but it varies from one hard drive model to another how loud those noises are. You might
Yeah,
want
this
to like
this one's very, very quiet, if anything, because I just don't hear it making standard hard drive noises, but I can see
Okay.
the light blinking now.
Okay, good. So when you try to wake the computer up, when the screen is blank, I want you to watch that light to see if there's any hard drive activity in response to your trying to wake it up.
Okay.
And then if it fails to wake up, give me a call and let me try to connect remotely without you restarting the computer.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm going to be gone for about 45 minutes.
Okay, well, if this winds up being tomorrow or whenever, it's, and, you know, fingers crossed, maybe it will never happen again.
Yeah.
Maybe something in our futzing actually fixed it and we just weren't aware of it. That happens. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. So,
all right.
Making changes and putting things back, it's very familiar to me to fix stuff. So, okay, well, I'll leave the computer on and I'm going to be gone for about 45 minutes. And when I come back, that should be the test.
Yeah.
Because it should have put itself to sleep. And I'll try to wake it up when I get in by moving the mouse pad.
Okay.
And if it doesn't wake up, I'll give you a call. Well, I'll give you a call either way.
Yeah. Sounds good. I'm already disconnected from the computer. So we'll go ahead and end the Zoom session and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Very good. Bye-bye. Okay, and that's it for that session. Be interesting to see what happens. If you would like to request a session with me, my sessions are free to support whatever computer needs you might have. These are live streamed on YouTube pretty much every time. So this session with Harold was live streamed. And the way you can request a session is to send an email to me at this address that's on your screen right now, DougBetts at LiveWindowsTraining.com. Just give me an idea of what you'd like to have help with. I've been doing this kind of work with my local clients in actual offices and supporting their needs remotely over a total of 30 years, not the whole, about 30 years, I think. Of course, not always remotely, but I'm offering that now through YouTube. So send me an email. Hope this was useful to you.